Hi, my name is Ken Lasseson. I wrote the Microbiome prescription website, and what I want to do today is walk through the best starter process for somebody to use the site and get good results. I will walk through it, and then I will go and show how we know that suggestions are good. Something called cross-validation. And it's a process which is well worth people using the site to see whether or not the suggestions being produced are good for themselves. Okay, here I have, and I'll quickly pause for a second and make a few changes inside. Here I have a example, somebody who processed through Ombre, formerly called Thrive. And what I'm going to do is, first of all, I'm going to just empty the basket. So we get down to 0. And now, if you know nothing else, or you have no particular model for how to fix the gut, and there are many models out there, and many different results, and many different algorithms, rules, hypotheses as to how to pick the bacteria. So out there, the site supports tons and tons of different hypotheses for how to change the microbiome. What I'm going to give you now is my preference for somebody coming in not knowing what to do. This is what I would suggest you do for the first time through, and then you can start reading up or try to figure out how to improve it for yourself. Often the choice won't make much of a difference, but people often get a particular idea in their head and want to run with it. That's their right to do so, and the site tries to be friendly to handle as many different ways of doing it as possible. What I'm showing you is my preferred way at the moment, which will change in 6 months or a year. But at the moment, this is the way which I find the best results are coming out. And we also see how I judge them to be the best results. You go in here, get rid of any existing consensus, and there are 3 things you're going to do. You're going to do standard lab ranges, box plot riskers, and count-off multi-off normal ranges. These 3 ones identify things which are outside the normal range by 3 different methods. Sometimes they agree, or sometimes they disagree as to which bacteria should be included, but they are intrinsic to the data, so you are examining every single bacteria you have. All the ones up here at the top are particular bacteria. Somebody said, oh, this one I think is the most important one for whatever reason, and they only look at a subset of the bacteria. The ones I'm using are ones which looks at every single one. So let's just go through. We'll start with standard lab. Plus or minus 2 standard deviation means we take what the average value is, add 2 standard deviations according to the samples, plus or minus, and if you're outside that range, you do it in terms of probability. That means you're talking about 2% chance of the value being normal. So it's basically picking up the more extreme one. You just click here, and it'll pop up the suggestions sitting here, weighing back and forth. Now we go down to the box plot, get suggestions. Same thing. See the same thing sitting there at the beginning. And now we try to count off multi-off ranges. Get the suggestions here. We don't have the same thing on the top. Different things are selected, which is good, because we don't know what the correct answer is. We work with 3 good set of suggestions, and then say we're going to combine all of them together, and whatever they are in agreement with is probably a very good suggestion. So we go here, I'll refresh the page, and we have 3 packages there. We can just click here to view the consensus, and there we have a variety of things listed, highest priority working downwards. Now, at this point in time, the question is, okay, how do I know that this is probably the correct one? Well, this person has a condition called chronic fatigue syndrome, and there is a tremendous volume of literature of things trying to improve it. And why do we have such a big volume? because nobody knows the cause which is accepted by everybody or acceptable treatment. So people try this thing, try that thing, try this thing, try that thing. So we get a massive stack of literature of things, whether or not it helps somebody with MECF or doesn't help somebody with chronic fatigue syndrome. So the result is this person has chronic fatigue syndrome. Let's see whether or not their suggestions agree with the literature. Here is the first thing. Okay, so I flipped over to a blog post which I've done on this particular person, and you can see the same set of things as in the consensus report. So it's the same sample we're looking at. Go down here. What I've done here is I've gone over and looked at PubMed. PubMed. Here is government site, and gone down and take a look for things like, for example, looking for ginkgo and chronic fatigue syndrome. And first question is, has somebody tried it? And result is we do find ones, and it indicates, hey, guess what? It was done in a placebo-controlled study, and it improved. I can go in there and read the study to verify it, but basically it says ginkgo helps chronic fatigue syndrome. Guess what? It is number 2 on the list here. Oh, what does that mean about the suggestion of ginkgo? It means that it is probably a correct suggestion. If you go back through here and we look at other things, we see this one, which is cumin, right there, black cumin, also helps things such like fatigue, thiamine, B2, NAC, etc. So what I do and periodically do with the blog post is I take a look at the suggestions here, go and take the bunch of top ones, go over and see if the literature agree. Frequently I just look in and say, okay, yes, 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 all those are in agreement. If the person tells me that they have a friendly doctor who will prescribe antibiotics, then I will go and run it through with the antibiotics option, which is pretty straightforward because all you have to do is go back and add that in. And a lot of the time, when we add in 1,000 drugs and prescription items to do it, what comes up is a group of antibiotics which is being used by Dr. Cecile Zedin in South Africa, Philip Botello in France, couple of MECFS specialists in England, in the UK, and Professor Nicholson in the US, successfully to improve the symptom. And the same algorithm picks the same antibiotics generally. Sometimes it says one of those, no, you don't want this one, you want to avoid this one, which is fine because the studies are clinical studies. That is, they take a group of people and ask the question, does a bunch of people as a group improve or not? There could be some people who go in the wrong direction, some people go in the right direction. The advantage of working with your own unique microbiome is that odds are the suggestions are going to work for you. And what we are doing, looking at the clinical studies, is checking for reasonableness. This process of taking the suggestions and looking over at the literature to see if the literature agrees is called cross-validation. And it's what I use to develop the algorithms for estimating suggestions. Because if the algorithms agrees with the literature, then chances are the algorithms are right. And some of the stuff in the algorithms which may not ever been done in the literature, like for example, I don't think NIM is there. Oh, let's find out. It's an easy quest. no results found. So there's absolutely nothing about using NIM with chronic fatigue syndrome. Okay, so what we have is we have what I will call a novel suggestion of an untested concept, but one which, using the microbiome data, has a strong suggestion that it will do. So that's basically there. We do have, when you go back here, you do have the joys of being able to do a download. And you can now go and save the download, and it is as an Excel file. So you can go and do it as you want. You can search into this page, change the page size, but as you will quickly realize looking at it, you may have 500, you may have 1,500 examples. One of the things you should always do is click here to sort it, and it tells you things you should avoid. In this case, barley should be avoided. Other people with chronic fatigue syndrome, barley is a big yes, take it. This particular person, no, don't. Goes through and identifies things which you should avoid, which is nice. It's good. It often stops you from shooting yourself in the foot by taking something out or by going by blind suggestion. For example, for this particular person, taking Bacillus subtilis, which will often be recommended on Institute Health Group as something to try, will have adverse effects. So you simply avoid it, and it should, in theory, improve your odds of improving your symptoms. So that's one way. Now, if we go back to changing there, we go back and we have one other things. We can download as a simple suggestion. The purpose of a simple suggestion is for the brain fog. People who don't want to try digesting 500 or 1,000 different lines, figure out what in the world do I do. Very simple. You click that. It will download the suggestion. And then, if you open the suggestion, give me a moment, you'll see it opens up as an Excel spreadsheet or whatever your word processor is, and goes through and first starts with probiotics. So it's okay, these are the probiotics you should be taking and ones you should be avoiding, and it also gives you information about what suitable dosages should be. Makes life much easier because it's basically a cookbook. We go down further and we can see which type of prebiotics to take. Some are to be avoided and some are to be taken. Some, like Jerusalem artichoke or PHEG, are to avoid. Inulin is to be avoided. So basically, okay, some of the supplements you are taking may not be the ones that are suitable for your microbiome. I have had people look at the list and just excluded the ones which were to be avoided from their diet, and they noticed an improvement. You can shoot yourself in the foot from internet suggestions. We are here being very, very specific to your own microbiome. We now have things here, some other things, in which case we have no information there. Okay, no information means if you take it, take it. If you don't take it, don't take it. We have no opinion to suggest. Then we get down to vitamins, and again the dosages. B often is interesting because some B vitamins are to take and some are to avoid. Some are no information. And in this case, we find all of the B vitamins are take or no info, in which case the B complex is a logical thing to take. And then we have other things based on there. The weight there is subjective value, but it gives you some idea. For example, here, selenium is a suggestion to take. Zinc is something to avoid. We go further down into our area of herbs and other things, which ones you take. This particular person happens to have been suffering from stress for a couple of months before the microbiome sample, so I'm not surprised that ashwagandha is a strong recommendation. And we have things listed there again. This was put together from somebody working with people with long COVID, and it was a simplified list which I implemented for her so she can better support her support group of people with long COVID, which is similar to chronic fatigue syndrome. And it's just a nice, simple, let's make it easy for you Not too complicated, just a few items, and just go down and take a look at it. And again, no info, you take it or don't take it, it's up to you. So that's what the thing is. Now there's a whole bunch of other ways of doing things, including filtering here or there. But in general, my experience is everything. If you are able to have a amenable MD, you may want to select everything, in which case then antibiotics and other prescription drugs come in. Otherwise, most people who are, especially those who are trying to deal with non-supportive MDs, probably want non-prescription because those items in general are available by direct purchase. Your list of items you take should be reviewed by an MD or other medical professional before starting, because some of them will conflict with certain prescription drugs or with certain medical conditions. For example, you have a problem with histamine. Some of the probiotics could be histamine producers, in which case there are salicylate sensitivity. Some of the stuff are salicylates, and you will have problems there. So these are a list of suggestions. You do not need to go and say, I have to do everything on the list. Basically, pick and choose. The list is long. Pick what works for you. Pay more attention to the avoid list and try getting rid of the things on the avoid list, which is much easier than doing the take thing, because sometimes just doing the avoids will cause a major improvement. Okay, so that's it. This is the preferred way at the moment, and I keep experimenting with new ways of trying to do it, and usually it takes a bit of time to figure out how to do the algorithms, and ideally the algorithms will end up cross-validating. That is, what is being suggested agrees with medical literature, in which case how I'm trying to calculate for the microbiome is valid. It's good. It's the way it should be. In other words, it has a degree of confidence and accuracy, which is nice. Okay, I'll shut up now and get this up online.